Kia ora koutou, no mai, haere mai, oto tahi, hello everyone, and welcome to Christchurch. The Division 2 Ultimate Championships, opens and women's. Here we have game stream number 2 for the women's division, a matchup between WOOF hailing from Dunedin and Fresh Hops hailing from Nelson, a South Island rumble between the two teams. We're looking at WOOF right now in the white and blue on the left side of your screen. They'll be coming out on defense on the left side. Meanwhile, Fresh Hops from Nelson on the right side of your screen, they'll be coming out on offense, and they are in blue, dark blue with a little rainbow on the side. In the meantime, my name is Kelsey Bielik.
My name is Blair Monroe. What a pleasure it is to be here for this exciting match.
And the disc goes up, launched downfield. So conditions right now, the wind has picked up a little bit from the morning. The sun has come out. It's beautiful conditions for Ultimate Frisbee today. A beautiful day to play outside. While again, it is a little bit gusty, it's a little bit windy. It's really not going to impact throws too much. So the miss comms that we see right there are much more, you can count on them being, unfortunately, more thrower or receiver initiated and less due to any gusty conditions or rain. Again, it's a beautiful day for Ultimate. Leg with the disc.
Nice little shimmy pivot. Puts one high to this side, finds Liddell.
And
big crossfield hammer for a score.
I'm so stoked on that. So that's Kat Adams with the point. She was just named actually on the New Zealand Women's Masters team, and she's such a powerhouse of a player. We're going to see, safe hands, safe catches like that, athletic plays from her across the board over the course of this game. And Liddell as well, reading that into her hands and launching. What great execution on that throw.
The immediate hammer too, not even, there's just no hesitation. Basically, as soon as she's got it in hand, she's coming down, she sees everything unfolding in the deep space and just yep, I'm going to put a hammer over to the far sideline.
And this sparks a really great conversation on what we're looking at here on the field with both teams. We've got WOOF down here. They've just scored the points, coming out on defense for the second one. But WOOF is such a great team. They started out, they were warming up with the tunes. We had some Justin Bieber, some other pop hits. It was great to see them all, vibing together as they warm up. But I really love that this team is made up of a mix of definitely tenured veteran players who have a bit more experience under their belt, combined with a lot of young athleticism, a lot of upcoming growth, especially from the University of Otago down in Dunedin, making it a really, really strong, really formidable women's team here in Division 2 championships. Meanwhile, we've got Nelson Fresh Hops as well. Really great to see this growing club from the Nelson area. They just finished up the Nelson Beach Hat, was hosted in their own backyard. We can see a lot of the players who performed there. They're out here now chasing the disc down. I really love that look.
A great rundown by Botha.
And Bronwyn Tuck recognizing that, showing that she has those hucks, the ability to put the disc out there. Excited to see more of that over the course of this game as well. A vertical stack from Dunedin.
Kavisha Chandran with a great cut.
And just a miscomm, a few baubles across both teams here. I think probably just warming up for it's getting to be later in the day on the first day on Saturday. So just warming up, potentially still some baubles coming out of the woodwork.
Rockland to Sim. Still looking in the downfield space. A little pop back across to Botha. Can't get that connection as the disc starts to fall away from the receiver there towards that far sideline in the end zone. It's going to be enough to generate the turn, so we're going to see WOOF with another opportunity.
There's a blady angle put on that. I think the release was quite hard. Maybe if it were a bit flatter, it could have seen its way into the hands of the receiver. Some great open side movement here from WOOF. And the disc goes downfield.
Look at that foot speed. My God, Father. Just as the disc starts to blade a little bit away towards that far side, it's going to make things a little bit hard. Ursula with a great chase out. It just, again, if we get to see that again, it was just the rate of foot turnover, just eating up the ground.
Right, just trucking, closing down the distance. But yeah, it faded out of bounds. We're seeing Kat Adams running. Oh, it looks like there's an injury. She's streaking down to chat with the physio. And downfield, it's tough to see a start like that. It looks like Aliguna, something may have happened. She's walking off the field. She's taking an injury, it looks like. and chatting with the physio. We'll check in with you guys soon to see if we know what's wrong. Hopefully it's just a minor niggle and she's ensuring that it doesn't get worse. We've got Nelson Fresh Hops at the races on offense, looking for swinging movement.
And that's Tuck with the disc now. Sim looking to cut in, but covered aggressively by Liddell.
Bell takes to the skies to reel it in. She just won MVP, as I mentioned, at the Nelson Beach hat. And it's awesome to have a player like that on your team, you know, coming fresh off of a tournament where you've won MVP, bringing it out in the field here, looking to display those same skills in this matchup.
And so we're going to see Tuck pick up 2, initiate 4 Fresh Hops.
A bit of a tight stack there. Liddell, and I was waiting through that. And the last one, she covered that defensive play. Tuck holstered the disc instead of throwing under. But Liddell has that 5th gear that we're going to see her, you know, launch into over the course of this tournament as she gets through that run through D.
Katrin Ogilvie with the disc now. Threads through, finds Chandran.
Finding Liddell back in the handler space. And Liddell, really, I've mentioned this a few times, I would describe her as a multi-tool of a player she's handling right now, but also such a formidable deep threat. She's so critical in the mid space as well. She can really be anywhere on the field and make such a difference. The disc goes wide of her hand there, and it's a turnover. And Nelson has a chance again, launching it downfield, but same issue.
Both are not able to secure it. I mean, found a hand to it, but it looks like that disc was diving down a little quick.
It was.
Maybe a little bit more float might have been a great option there. We may never know. The disc is going to go back to the hands of WOOF, pushing back towards the left-hand sideline.
Ogilvie also back. She's looking for a strike cut, finding the inside. I love that throw.
Nice take there. That's
Ursua again manages to find Chandran.
Ogilvie trying to make herself available as a reset.
And a pop pass back to Ursua.
To Chandran again, center field. Nice wide shot to Liddell. Is she going to be able to close it out? She's calling for a cut back towards the disc. There's not a lot developing.
I love the swinging movement. There's a lot of patience right now that WOOF is bringing to their game. Not too much action coming up from the back of the stack. I think she wanted a bit more. Ogilvie wanted a bit more of an inside-out touch on that. It flew up and unfortunately straight to both defenders. Nelson with another chance. We've got bell to bell. Got sisters Natalie and Emma, both previously named on the WOTID New Zealand women's national team for 2020. Of course, the Worlds that didn't happen. Here they are representing Nelson together.
That was a fantastic take by Rockland, and then a quick push up the line further to Botha, to Sim. A great fake there, trying to get something else to initiate. We see Rockland trying to push into that deep space. It looks back to find Tuck, and then a pick has been called. So just a reminder for those watching at home, Ultimate is a self-officiated sport. It's also a non-contact sport, and what that means is that if a player's ability to pursue their defensive assignment is interrupted or impeded by the path or positioning of other players on the field, they can call a pick, which allows them to catch up to where they feel as though they reasonably would have been had that pick not occurred.
Oh, I love that throw.
One-handed grab by Rockland. What a great take right in that front corner, marked by Chandran, baiting the throw.
And there's strike cut after strike cut. She opts for that inside shot. Unfortunately, just a riskier throw, and it's a turnover. Giving WOOF, giving Dunedin another chance on offense. They're starting up in a vertical stack here.
There's a lot of edge to a lot of these throws. We're going to see whether or not we can just see them tighten up a little bit. Tuck puts one deep looking for Sim, but there's a tumble.
I feel like Sim could have found that, unfortunately getting her feet caught up underneath her. And there's also, I mean, I haven't inspected that end of the field, but it is getting closer to the trees. And, you know, we are entering autumn here in the southern hemisphere, folks. So we are starting to see things like chestnuts and acorns on the ground. So hopefully that wasn't an issue, but definitely something to consider. Chandran, she's really doing a great job of working the middle space. Chandran is right now. We're getting open consistently. Nice continuing flow.
What a great attempt there by Ursula to get a hand to it as it cuts across the lane.
And Nelson similarly setting up. We've been seeing a lot of vertical stack this weekend, seeming to be the in vogue option for offense. The disc goes up.
That's what fresh hops need. It's going to be Botha Bell to Botha for the score to tie the game up.
And just commenting on the Bell twins, we've got, again, Emma and Nat. They're identical twins, and when I first played against them, I remember being so confused at who I was actually marking. But they're both so strong. Nat Bell launching it deep. And one more time, a great point. They're both such strong players, and having them both on the field together is such a formidable experience, whether you're on offense or defense, seeing the talent that both of them carry with them. They're both really aggressive while spirited at the same time. They're going to chase everything down. They know that the disc is alive until it's either in their hands or in someone else's hands or on the ground. And yeah, it's exemplified by Emma Bell's MVP. Then a recent Nelson Beach hat. They're both really poised in the handler space, streaking deep, reading the disc, all around really strong players.
I bet it's really confusing to try and defend against as well. If you try and see them and you think, yeah, I know who my defender is, or I know who the person I'm marking is, and then you realize you're actually marking the wrong one, and then one of them's wide open.
I was a bit confused the first time. I didn't realize that they were identical twins, and I wasn't sure who I was marking, but yeah, both such great players, and good to see them out here.
Altenburg carry with a bit of a shrug towards her downfield, is not sure why nothing seems to be developing. We are going to see Becky Liddell now. Becky pushing cross field, but it's going to be looked off in favor of
Adams with the disc, finding, great point. Look at that flow.
That was such smooth offense by WOOF there to bring them back to a 1-up, which is fantastic work by the side from Dunedin.
So that was Adams to Ursum with the points. Great timing from Ursum in the end zone. This is what you drill. Patience with the swing movement, and then they're just boom, 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 open side, finding those options to Adam. And I love the timing off of these cuts. That's a sign of a well-drilled team. You know, not only there's so many points to getting open and having that be a viable option. It's not only losing your defender and being open, but it's also the timing of it. And they've done such a great job here of knowing, you know, before the stall even starts, when your offense, when your teammates caught the disc, and then when they're ready to release it next to you. Yeah, great ultimate on display by WOOF. And also, I think that was a great example of experience at play. Players like Liddell and Adams really bringing their experience, and as well as the foot speed, the youth, the energy of a lot of the up-and-coming uni players within University of Otago. Ursua pulling that in for the points. WOOF to come out on defense.
Great pull there, nice and long. Towards the far sideline, we're going to see Tuck pick up and initiate.
I think also, just a quick commentary for WOOF, they potentially had an option, or, you know, could have looked at going to Division 1 in Wellington. They decided as a team they wanted to come to Division 2. And, you know, I think excited to compete a little bit closer to home. Making it more accessible. Ultimate Frisbee can be an expensive sport, you know, when you're financing flights, financing accommodation, tournaments, you know, the travel, the uniforms. So keeping it an accessible option for everyone on their team.
Great put out into space. That is Gooden to Liddell. What a great score to bring WOOF up to a 3-1 lead.
And Gooden has done so much work in the Dunedin community. We can see her chatting with Tuck there, and I think there was a little bit of contact, just some bumping between the players. So really great spirit. She's such a spirited player. I love playing with her. I love playing against her because I know it's going to be a competitive and positive experience. She's so fast, which we can see from that separation. She's got such strong throws as well. Liddell with that separation. But also just clearing up with that communication with Tuck on the field, I think, again, with that contact previously, just making sure they're on the same page.
And so WOOF continuing with a great defensive showcase so far. I think that's it was 1-1, and then it's been back-to-back with WOOF. Some really great performance there. I mean, there are some fantastic just some fantastic pedigree in terms of these WOOF players. We have a huge amount of accolades in terms of youth appearances in the under-24 national teams. So there's a lot of not only just sort of well-drilled chemistry, as you mentioned, Kelsey, but also just general ability and awareness that we're seeing come together in this tournament.
And one thing I really get excited about here, one thing that I think is so awesome about Division 2 is that we're seeing teams like this, Nelson, Dunedin, that are, you know, have such strong ultimate talents, but they're not those three main core cities, you know, that you see on, you know, the trophies. It's not Auckland, Wellington, Christchurch. These are two cities that are really growing their pool in the ultimate community, and they're here showing us, you know, playing competitively against each other and showing us what they have to display. And really, really nice to see that diversity across the motu, across the country. There's a conversation happening on the field. Blair, what happened there with the hand signals?
So that was another instance of a pick. I think Sonia Sim, we had a great cut towards the far sideline, but the path chosen did cause a bit of interference in terms of their defender. So we're going to see it's getting put up, and Liddell comes down with it.
Sky Patrol, Liddell turning on the jets and taking to the skies like a jet fighter, and she's streaking deep, looking for that deep look. Now it's covered. Nelson's done a great job of recognizing that. Wow. Wow.
Ursa putting it up for Liddell. Can she close it out? Yeah, oh, not quite. Just outside the hands of Paige Cooper-Smith.
And one thing that, Blair, you mentioned before was we're seeing a lot of bladey throws. And bladey throws tend to have a bit more power on them. I find at least the forehands definitely do. Here, a great continuation to Liddell, but Liddell putting that outside in forehand that's just a bit too slicey, a bit too high for her offender, for her teammate to reel in.
And so we're going to give Fresh Hops another opportunity to work back up the field. There's Bell with the disc now.
Emma Bell assessing the options downfield. A lot of pressure on defense. Good to see.
Such a good grab by Rockland, too.
Yeah, under pressure. But hard to defend that when you're just in the right space. What a great backhand, flat, easy.
Eltenberg carry. What a great put.
I love the teamwork that they're displaying here. We see Nat Bell assessing options on defense, and one more time looking for options. Oh, you can see where she was trying to put the disc. I think, yeah, that was just a misfire.
And then it's Eltenberg carry to, I believe that was Cooper-Smith again for the score for WOOF to put them up 4-1 over Fresh Hops from Nelson.
And a great point from that team. Yeah. Yeah, so exciting to see just diversity in teams, just diversity in cities represented here at Division 2. It's such a privilege to be commentating and seeing just that strength in different areas, because Division 1 so often dominated by those three core cities, that Auckland, Wellington, Christchurch, and of course, apologies not to forget Hamilton, so often representing on that national stage at Division 1. I have had the unfortunate experience of being shut down by so many of those Hamilton players. Maybe part of the reason I'm retired at this point.
We are going to see a lot of them next week in Wellington, though, as we conclude our season with the Division 1 Ultimate Championships. But right now, 1 is the loneliest number. We are more focused on Division 2 here, as we see Bronny Tuck and Rockland working with both in the upfield space for Fresh Hops.
Also, for the first time in this game, really not the first time, but rarely today, we've seen people running zones, and WOOF coming down into a zone. Adams coming out of nowhere, predicting where that D is going to be, and she's running downfield. Vocal for the under. She's wide open under.
Eaten up by Faria. To both immediately, a nice crossfield shot to Bell. Floats one out far sideline, looking for Robertson.
Nice movement from Fresh Hops here. Yeah, really great movement. They're just finding the open players. It seems a bit hectic, but they're having no issue just finding each other, finding that open player, finding the open space. So how can it be hectic if it's, they're playing cleanly?
Bell putting out to Botha. Comfortable close on that one to bring it back to a 2-point game. Fresh Hops going up to 2 against WOOF's 4. So some great, really clean offense there from Fresh Hops, which is exactly what we needed to see. Maybe this is going to be them sort of shifting out of first gear, really trying to get that motor going up. This could be what it's going to take for them to really fire up and start to push WOOF a little bit more, which I think is what we all want to see. And I think it's probably a really beneficial thing for both of these teams as we come towards the end of the first day of the tournament. Just seeing those teams really start to come together a little bit. Everything's to be a little bit more cohesive, a little bit more effective, a little bit more efficient.
Yeah, definitely. I was excited to see that zone come out, though, to see the pressure, also to see the way in which, and the poise in which Nelson responded to that. They didn't really have an issue finding those open players, but this is just me being selfish. I would like to see more zones. I think it's kind of exciting. Match defense is, that's ultimate Frisbee in its most purest essence, I feel, and it's nice when you don't have the elements to contend with, the wind and the rain, quite so much. Yeah, so exciting to have just that just basic ultimate and how it's most commonly played. But I think zones are exciting, and you know, maybe we'll see more of that over the course of the game. We've got Tuck with the disc, launching it downfield for a defensive point for Nelson Fresh Hops.
And it's going to be Altenberg carry to pick up and initiate. A great run through by Kewen. What a specimen, just a fantastic athlete managing to get into position.
I know she runs like ultra marathons, and here she is showing that she, you know, as I was mentioning with Odell, has that 5th gear as well. She can launch into that. Strong no around force. Looks
a
like
lot of pressure on that defense.
Keep it on the sideline there. We're seeing Bell.
We've got Natalie Bell on the sideline throwing the hammer fake.
The hammer fake. And you know, even if it was a hammer fake, regardless of what happened, she was feeding that energy onto the field, resulting in a point for her team.
What a fantastic effort there by Fresh Hops to bring it back within 1. We've also just been informed that Natalie Bell has a ban put on their hammers. Not allowed to throw them in games.
No ham, she says. I also just want to comment on that defensive play there. You know, maybe she had a hand to the disc. Maybe Kewen did touch it. Maybe she didn't. But there's such a big part of defense. It's also just being in the right space and getting into the brain of your defender. You know, mentally just being there and putting pressure on that space. You know, when you're catching a disc in warm-up, when there's no one on you, it's so much easier. But as soon as there's pressure around it, you know, that same catch just becomes so much trickier to do. So regardless of whether or not you're actually getting a touch to it, Kewen doing a fantastic job of just putting the pressure on to result in that turnover. The disc goes up, and we have WOOF on offense. Leg, such a veteran handler, such an experienced player, working with Altenberg carry.
That's Collier now with the disc. Great work as they find Altenberg carry pushing through. To swing back around, Abby Liddell with a great big hammer for the score.
That's the second hammer we've seen her throw to Adams. This is a connection, I think, that is not new in any way.
And as WOOF go up 5 over the Fresh Hops 3, I just want to draw your attention here in the booth and also those watching at home. Kelsey, in our very first game, you saw Emery Crane throw a great scuba in the middle of a point and thought, oh, that's probably going to be the most exciting throw we see in the tournament. And, I mean, I proffered that, you know, maybe players would start to see that as a challenge, but I was honestly expecting them to actually have to watch these games before they'd pick up the challenge. No. We're seeing all kinds of upside-down big shots in the match that we just saw between Cog and Trail Mix. We've seen Abby Liddell just drop some absolute bombs in this game alone.
Dimes. That's a dime piece of a throw. Either way, I did say that the no-look scuba is... It's quite the throw, but that hammer, the crossfield hammer, a beautiful catch into the safe hands of Adams. I was stoked to see that, and I think was it the first point? Stoked to see that repeated now, and yeah, I have a feeling that that's a well-established connection. You know, that's happened many times before as well.
That's going to be Bell with the disc, finding Sim near sideline. Not a lot developing in that downfield space. Both are quite close to the disc, looking for that reset, and then it's Faria now.
Bell fighting to get open. Strong cover by Leg. Looking to make the connection to her sister. Emma chasing it down. Emma Bell catching the disc and launching it downfield. Is the backup there? No, I really
quite.
did like, that there was support in that area.
I think that was Meg Robertson providing that cover option, but it wasn't enough on this instance. We're going to see that again. The big crossfield shot chased down by Emma Bell. And then the immediate upline throw over the top of Sim.
Yeah, she was there, just not quite in position. And I love the aggressive mark there, the leg up for potential foot blocks. Bell's hungry for that D. Finding the open side. Oh.
Ursula not able to secure it, and so it's going to go back to Fresh Hops right in the red zone, maybe about 8 to 10 meters out from a score here. Are we going to see a hammer? Not quite. It's going to be a nice sort of inside break attempt, but with too much outside in, so it falls away from the receiver based on the shape of that cut.
I did really like that throw and that cut. I think that,
just a little bit more inside out edge would have curved it back.
It'll be the points, I reckon, next time.
Well, and that's one of the things that we've talked about so far already, Kelsey, is just, what a throw. Great territorial option there. One of the things that we've talked about, Kelsey, is this idea of when we see those turnovers happen, are we seeing the players respond with learning and making adjustments? I mean, we've seen a couple already where we're seeing that same throw be made with the wrong shape, the wrong edge, over and over. And I don't know whether or not Bell's going to make that same kind of sign of error.
Yeah.
Oh, what a great toe in there by Bell.
Incredible footwork.
But it's a stoppage. It's going to be called out.
So the call is out, folks. What do you think? It looks like Bell is
a great
no contest.
No contest. Yeah, from our perspective, just in their replay, it looked like her cleat was on the line as she secured control, which is going to constitute an out.
Yeah.
So we've got Ursula on the undercut there.
Nice open side cuts and continuation. Again, it's down the line. I take no issue with it as long as there's, what good connections.
Amato with a great throw.
My heart is breaking with every turnover we're seeing, Blair, and I think that's because they're good decisions they're making, They're just slightly off, whether it was that out of bounds call where it was just like, but Bell had it in her hands.
It looked cool.
It was such good footwork, and that too, where it's like, but it was such a nice connection in their minds. At least turnover after turnover, I'm quite sad. But you know what? I think it's strong ultimate. They're good throws. They're sound decisions, and so we're gonna see them being connections. At least this is what I hope. And just for reference to contrast, the reason I'm so stoked on this is sometimes when you do see misconnections or turnovers, sometimes it's due to bad decision making. Just people not really focusing on the game, focusing on what they're trying to do. Right now, I think they really are though. Can they get there? And which is why it's so heartbreaking to me because I see these athletes that they're all laying it out there, and it's just the slight little things that aren't working, and that's where my heart is breaking.
A great chase down by Eliška Vrbatova, but not able to get that one in hand. So the disc is going to go back. We're going to see a nice little chippy forehand through to leg to Zamri.
Great
back around.
She wanted that hug. Great coverage by Bell in that deep space, though, and I think sound decision for Leg to holster it. She's engaging her resets.
Nice little chip shot up to Ogilvy with the disc now to Zamri near sideline, marked by Botha. We see Bell in the deep space poaching off, but it's letting Ursula get a nice clean cut to the disc before she's got a mark put on her.
Nice break.
Great crossfield shot.
Bell sagging off a bit to help cover the downfield. Ogilvy finding that deep player again. That's a point to Cooper Smith.
That's at, I think, a third?
Oh.
It's either a second or third. She's doing some great work, just moving through that deep space. WOOF to 6 now. This is going to be a game to 13, folks. So what that means is once the first team reaches 7, we're going to take a short break. And then conclude the second half of the match. Now, at the moment, that means that WOOF are 1 score away from taking half. However, it's anyone's game. It is always anyone's game. And so we'll see what happens. We're going to see WOOF come out on defense yet again.
And one thing I want to comment on WOOF's offense here, you know, they have some really impressive players and talent on the team that could definitely be standout, you know, driving the field and really taking charge and demanding the disc is in their hands all the time. But we're not seeing that, and that's something I think is really fantastic. And I'm really enjoying that. Right now, WOOF is playing such a team sport. Everyone is touching the disc. They're trusting every player. They're winning right now. They're bringing it as a team, and that's such a beautiful way. I think that the respect and the community. They're playing so well with each other. Yet again, disc touching the hands of every player on the field, and the way in which they're scoring points. Liddell with disc in hands, ready for the pull. Meanwhile, on the other end of the field, Emma Bell chatting with her teammates about what the plan is. She's the captain of the team, and she's discussing, you know, what they're going to be doing. What's the offensive plan right now? We've seen them coming down in a vertical stack. So that line in the middle of the field, whether standing there or imaginary, that's the dead space where people are clearing to. A lot of pressure, a lot of congestion, really, with WOOF defense.
Rockland puts it up. Kewen goes up for it and isn't able to come down with it. So that's going to give the turn and the disc back to WOOF with an opportunity here.
And they're off to the races.
Altenberg Carey receives the first pass. A great grab by Liddell, taking 2 bites at the apple to keep that one in hands.
She gets so high, she just climbs up the ladder. Roxburgh, with the disc.
Pushing to Chandran on the far sideline, marked down by Faria.
Roxburgh swings to Altenberg Carey.
And
Easy
that's
points.
going to close out the first half for WOOF as the score goes 7-3. That's going to be halfway there. So WOOF on a little bit of a runaway right now. Some fantastic ultimate on display from both of these teams. Some great athleticism, some great effort, some great teamwork and communication as well. But some of the very best communication, perhaps the most important communication, is this next sentence. If you like what you see and you want to help us bring you the very best in ultimate coverage here in New Zealand, in Australia, and around the world, head on over to patreon.com/ULTI.TV and give us your spare change. Every dollar helps. As easy as we try and make it look, it's a pretty expensive operation. We're doing our absolute best to bring you the very best in this sport coverage. One of the best things about the sport of ultimate is, yes, Kelsey, you've talked about the expense of things like flights and team uniforms and such, but it's important to recognize that the entry to the sport itself is often limited to access to a disc. And so all of this springs from that. I think one of the key sort of fundamentals of ultimate as a general is the idea that it's for everyone. And if you don't like it, I don't know what to tell you, bud. I really don't know what to tell you. Ultimate is for the people. So we will be back with you very shortly for the second half of this exciting match. It is day 1 of the 2024 Ultimate Championships. We're focusing on the women's division at the moment. WOOF from Dunedin and Fresh Hops from Nelson. But my name is Blair Monroe.
I'm Kelsey Bulick.
And we will be back with you very soon. Because I was going to jump in and just be like, so how possible is it this team is here? Oh, shit, we're live. And then all right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the streamed coverage of our match between WOOF and Fresh Hops in the Division 2 New Zealand Ultimate Championship Women's Division. My name is Blair Munro. I'm joined in the booth by Kelsey Bielik.
Kia ora.
And what a fantastic game we've got on display so far. We've got WOOF currently up by 4, having taken half in this race to 13. They're going to be coming out on offense as we see Fresh Hops with the pull from Nelson. What are your thoughts about the first half of the game so far, Kelsey?
Well, Blair, for the first half of the game, I was really stoked that both teams came off firing right off the bat. They were trading points, the first 2 points, 3 points before WOOF really started to pull away with it. We saw some dimes, as you were saying, bombs of hammers that Abby Liddell was throwing to the extreme. What's a good way to describe Kat Adams as a receiver? She's difficult to contend with. She's everywhere, and she's gonna see everything into her hands. She's such an athlete. We saw beautiful connections across WOOF as an entire team. Disc in the safe hands of every player in the team. Really privileged to watch them. And meanwhile, Nelson really digging deep, making some beautiful plays as well, getting a bit unlucky sometimes with some of the things that were happening. I want to see them dig deep and tighten up that score in this half.
That's Amato with the disc now after a couple of quick chips up the field. Finds Ursem, and then Amato leaves a defender behind. We're going to get a little bit of a crossfield to Eldenberg carry. Nice wide field shot just outside the hands. Not going to be a score for Collier, unfortunately.
Altenberg Carey really showing us what she's got on display here, though. Although these errors, that is consistent with what we were seeing in the first half with what WOOF was throwing. The errors are, I think they're great decisions. They're just light misfires. They're a little too far for the receivers. It does give Fresh Hops options on offense to, retaliate, to, make these plays to put more points on the board. We've got Qin with the disc.
Just such a confident cutter. A nice little dishy dad backhand to Bell. It's going to take Collier a second to get back into position.
Nice continuations out of the stack. I'm really enjoying the timing off of each of the cuts
Alishka
to each other.
Alishka Verbatova managing to push one through to Meg Robertson. Drops back off to Bell with a hammer of her own. It's going to fade back left.
Looking for Qin and finding her.
And it's going to be called in. That's going to be another point on the board for Fresh Hops as they go to 4. Great work by
Calling it in,
Qin.
but no one's moving.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a weird thing to just go, yes, everyone agrees that it was in, but we're not going to maybe celebrate it with the kind of zeal we would expect after a
hammer like that.
Yeah, I mean, geez.
Really awesome to see, when one team's dropping hammers, dropping these bombs, to see the other responding in like kind, not Bell, taking it out of her pocket, launching it across.
Huge shot goes up, curves over.
Incredible read by Qin there.
Yeah, that looked pretty confidently in, and yeah, I got called in, and then no one really did anything about it. I mean, not to imply that there was any doubt that it was going to be in, but you sort of hope to see a little bit of celebration there. Especially as we see Kieran actually step around to
He's
recover
stepping around, yeah.
positioning. That's a huge thing to be able to do.
Well,
I mean, like hammers, you always sort of expect them to go a little long, and just getting that read and being effectively positioned out of that reception, but managing to step around and secure that is just remarkable.
It's remarkable, Blair. We may not see them celebrating on the field. I'm here celebrating with you, though. That was a great play, great read, great catch. Putting another point on the board for Fresh Hops. First one out of half. Wait, is it? No, I'm confusing it. Yes, the first one after half. I will repeat that.
So we are. So Natalie Bell is allowed to throw hammers. That's good to know. It's good to know. Nice, great pull.
Yeah. Great
huge
hang time
pull.
on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Picked up early.
To give Nelson Hops, Fresh Hops, time to get down the field. Hang time on pulls is really beneficial for your defense to really allow those speedy defenders to get down there as quickly as they can and stop the movement upfield from offense. We have WOOF moving the disc with no issue. It looks like they're playing a zone offense with some players marking space downfield.
Yeah.
Let's unpick kind of what they're doing here. What are they trying to force, Blair? What are you seeing?
So from my understanding, they're looking to kind of run almost a 2-3-2. So they're really putting the priority of the two of the front, moving backwards and forwards with the disc, try and force the disc towards the middle so that we can have shots exactly like that are going to get eaten up by that second row of defenders, which in this case was Bell and Robertson.
Looks like there's no contest on the call. Or is that retracted? The disc is in the hands of Nelson Fresh Hops. We've got Fowler with the disc.
And Chandran manages to get a touch on that one. It looks like it's going to be clean. No foul. Not sure whether or not a foul is going to be called there or not. Can't see any hand signals. Now we can. So it looks like Robertson is going to call contact on that as Chandran got a touch on the disc. Possibly, got a touch on the hand as well. So they'll just have a little bit of a conversation as to whether or not they had an impact.
A lot of comms on the field, and it is a bit of a congested space there. There's a lot of people, in the same area, which can lead to more bumping bodies, bumping of the disc. Good to see that they've sorted it, and Fresh Hops back off to the races. Vin Diesel lives his life a quarter mile at a time. Fresh Hops living their life right now with just 1/2 left to go before they put it into the end zone, which is where they're aiming. And the disc sees its way to the ground.
Some great positioning by Fresh Hops underneath that. We saw Luan both underneath there, but not able to keep it above the turf. And so WOOF have an opportunity now. They're deciding to push it up the sideline. It's leg with a huge put. It's high angle. Is it fading out towards the far sideline? It is. So it's going to give possession
Looks like
back.
There's a foul, actually. Leg with her hands in the air, indicating that there may have been a foul. That's where the disc went out, maybe? Yeah. Yeah, great spirit from WOOF, indicating where the disc went out of bounds. She knew that it went out. It floated out much sooner than we could see from down here. And Bell with a comical run down the field, bringing it up, throwing in a little boogie.
There's the big shot, looking for Rockland with a pull down, comfortably done.
Love that catch on the offside. She went up. It looked like initially her right hand was up and then caught it with the offhand. I love that ambidextrity.
Ambidexterity?
Thank you, yes.
And that was just absolutely fantastic. That put up for Brittany Rockland. Just a great take. We're going to get to see that again. So a great undercut. It's going to get faked off. Putting one up. Goes up with, yeah, you're absolutely right. It was up with the right hand and that little sort of mid-air switch.
And I love it. It's really challenging. I love to see that. So when you're catching with your offhand, she recognized in mid-air, she's going up and then reached out with her offhand, and it's tough making those left-handed catches in the air like that as the disc is fading. That's a fading catch. I think really impressive play.
So Fresh Hops having pulled it back to a 2-point game now. Still a race to 13. We're yet to see WOOF actually score in this half. So that's really, really impressive work
Really
there.
impressive.
That's break on break for Fresh Hops, because I think they started this half on defense, and so they're able to generate those turns and get those conversions twice in a row now.
I love it when you put it out there. I said, we started the game and I said, well, we saw some good connections from WOOF. I love that they were throwing to everyone on the team. A few really nice throws, some hammers, and I want to see the same thing coming from Nelson. I'd like to see them close that gap. And you put it out there, it's almost as if they're taking what you want on board. They were listening to me and they're closing that gap. Love to see Nelson, Fresh Hops bringing it together, cleaning it up out here, filling up the bucket with the bleach and then wiping it all clean as they're cleaning up and putting more points on the board.
So Liddell has the disc now, puts another mini hammer up over top, looking for Cooper Smith to Zamri early. Ursa was there as an option, but the defense gets in the way. It's Liddell catching that outside in, answering with one of her own, really pushing the far sideline. We've got Altenberg carry, back to Collier, chips one through to Liddell again.
Bell looking for the D, but can't get a hand on it. Liddell now swinging. And this is what I'm talking about with WOOF. What I'm getting so stoked on is the entire team.
Great body position there by Bell. Looks like there may have been some contact, although I'm not really sure if
I would say it looked like she had positioning, though.
Yeah, that would be my argument, is that, yes, they all went up, but realistically, even if she hadn't gone up, the offenders' players would have brought them into contact with her rather than the other way around.
Liddell hungry for that D, which is difficult when you're playing against someone as fast as Kewen.
Absolutely. Both are... Oh, Altenberg carry, too aggressive on the defense to really let that upline go, so Bell has to come back to it to receive it via
Bell
Tonk.
launching
A tuck.
Looking for the receiver, Botha.
Pulls it down, not able to get it down inside the end zone. Looks back, finds another Bell.
Emma Bell looking for options.
There's too much crowding happening around the disc. Bell can't get it away. Puts the blade up. Can she fade it back in? Yes! What a take. That was phenomenal.
The Bell sisters are turning up the heat. Both they're off to the races. I just want to, what a great point. That was such an exciting point from Fresh Hops. Seeing Nat Bell launch that disc downfield, she had her eyes on both as such a strong receiver, turned on the wheels. What did she have, feet under her or wheels? As Nat Bell threw that beautiful forehand hook. Here we see it sailing once again, and while there's pressure on it, both it reels it in.
It's this moment here. We've got Emma Bell with the disc. There's a lot of pressure and a lot of scrambling around the disc from the downfielders. So the patience that she has on display to recognize, right, that's what my option's going to be. There were so many other opportunities throughout that point that maybe a less calm player or a less experienced player might have tried to force it. It's really awesome to see Emma Bell just go, no, I know what I'm doing here. I'm going to wait for something to actually develop, and then I'm going to put it up. And it just happened to be that really high blade towards the near sideline. Beautiful shot.
I love the execution of that as well. It's not off. It's very much of an indoor throw. It's not often that I'm saying I love blades, but the way it just dropped, she positioned it so perfectly for her sister Nat Bell to reel in, getting around the defense, even snaking out of bounds before coming back in. Just beautiful points.
Fresh Hops now 3 on the bounce, the only team so far to have scored in this half, bringing it back to a 1-point game, which is amazing. What just a fantastic effort from any team to make that kind of comeback after being down so far in the first half is huge. In fact, our scoreboard on the other side of the field is actually saying 7-7. I'm not entirely sure whether or not that's accurate. We'll get that double checked. But right at the moment, we're going to see Tuck sending up a huge pull towards that near sideline. Touching down just out of bounds is going to be bricked.
And I also want to comment, I mentioned this briefly. In the first half, we saw some mistakes that WOOF was throwing up. I think they're really good decisions. I mentioned it's been breaking my heart to see them happen. But now Nelson is really showing, I mentioned this before, but now they're really showing that as long as WOOF is giving them those options, if that had hit the ground, as long as those misfires and misexecutions keep happening, Nelson is going to start really capitalizing on that. Leg launches a slicey backhand to Gooden. Back to leg. Oh, I see that break side option opening up, but they see open side. And that, I think, leg put a disc up before that had a little too much blade on it, and now it's flying out of bounds the other way, looking to correct that.
That was a close one, but there was no call on that. And despite Ursam's best efforts, not quite long enough to pull that one back in. It didn't fade quite back enough towards the center field. But Bell's going to put one up, and that's going to be a definite turnover there. I think Faria had actually hopped out of bounds before making contact with the disc. We see Ogilvy
swinging to the leg.
A laser of a forehand touching down early.
And she's frustrated with herself. She's shaking off a few of the niggles there. I want to see that too. I want to see those niggles just shook free. She's such a strong handler.
Setting up in a relatively compressed vertical stack there. Looks like there might have been a call, but no.
I love that too. She's redeeming herself from her frustration at that turnover. I think she's been making some great decisions, great throws, but she's frustrated, and you turn that on defense. The disc goes up, and it's a point.
That's Ogilvy to Ursum for the score. Great work. We do see WOOF put one on the board in this half as we go 8-6 up over Fresh Hops from Nelson.
What a great point for them. Again, using the width of the fields, they're really capitalizing. I feel like it's so rare in New Zealand to see tournaments where conditions are so calm like this. It's so refreshing to see, Ultimate being played in ways that it often is around in other parts of the world. And just seeing that capitalized on plays, off of hammers, swinging the width of the field, upside down throws, so many more hucks coming out, and all the players in the team here, again, touching the disc for a point for WOOF. Really great to see. That's the first point that they've put on the board since half, so something I think that they definitely need to show, that they're part of this second half, that, to maintain that lead that they've gained, that they've worked so hard for in the first half. There's some clarification on the field right now, discussion of score. We've got the score is 8-6, so there's just some comments on both teams to determine if the score is correct on the far sideline. It looks like they think the score might be 8-7. They're just adjusting that. Some room for conversation.
So we are just going to see that get clarified. So, the score is going to be 8-6, still in favor of WOOF, a 2-point game. We're going to see them come out on defense now after that great performance there. It's going to be Altenberg carry with the disc to initiate with the pull, supported by some phenomenal athletes from WOOF from Dunedin.
Altenberg carry with the disc as she launches the huck downfield, and it's flying out of bounds. Similar to the last one as well. The similar location to the last pull that went in this direction, favoring towards the low side, slight low side.
The disc is going to be bricked, so it's going to be brought to a space about 18 meters in front of the middle of the defensive end zone for Fresh Hops. So there's no positional advantage conferred to the defense by throwing the disc intentionally out of bounds. And we're going to see a vertical stack here. So our Fresh Hops players are sitting up in a line in the middle of the field to try and create a channel on either side. The disc has a little bit too much fade. A great cut by Kewen. Huge cut by Kewen. Probably had plenty of separation to be able to pull that one down. But the disc faded away instead of back towards center field.
Add a couple more meters. Maybe, increase it by half the size, and I think that would have been an incredible catch in bounds, but unfortunately not so.
It's one of those interesting trade-offs that you only really get a feel for them the more time you spend on a disc, because we see a great cut from Kat Adams coming under, is quite often if you can't guarantee the length of a throw, a player will often put it a little bit higher to try and give it more time at float, which is a great move if you're looking to lead out a receiver. The issue is that the wind that you don't feel at ground level, you do feel 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 meters up. So the higher up you put the disc, the more it's going to be impacted by the wind. So finding that sweet spot is the real challenge. And it's one of those things that really defines a player's ability to make a long game.
One thing I'm really enjoying by a lot of what we're seeing right now, especially, what an inside out, cleaned up by WOOF. That's Noor Osman. I'm really enjoying, again, the continuations. I think it's evidence of the three line drill where you cut out of the stack and then there's the continuation. So many people from the team, from across the entire team, are touching the disc. Oh, and a misfire deep results in a turnover.
Amato with a great cut, having the disc in power position, and just puts it just a little too high for the Fresh Hops defender to get a touch on it, but also a little bit too long for the Dunedin player to come through with it. So we're going to see the disc go back to Fresh Hops, hoping to bring it back to a 1-point game as Bell picks up, looking to initiate, marked by Noor Azman.
And we're seeing consistently this vertical stack that both teams are throwing. And meanwhile, interestingly, WOOF is playing a bracket, a clam of sorts. We're seeing open side, break side. Now they've reverted into person defense, into match. But I think really strategic off the bat, both with the under, the way in which they were marking that, the clam shutting it down. We've got Bell launching it deep, looking for Amabel, who sees it into her hands. What great separation.
Is she going to be able to close it out? Looks to reset instead to Rockland. We've got Bell cutting in front of the disc. Bell cutting down to the side of the disc. It's double Bells. What is this? The first act of Dark Souls. Puts the shot up, looking for Kewen.
Kewen, sorry. In my mind, let's just make the field a bit wider, Blair. I want to see these matches happen.
Who drew up these fields, honestly?
Let's just take an eraser and a pen to the rules. Just widen the field by a couple meters. Nonetheless, it was a great look by Bell and great chase by Kewen. We've got WOOF with another chance on offense, similarly responding in their vertical stack.
Altenburg carry finds Adams far sideline, marked down by Alishka Verbatova. Altenburg carry can't guarantee that completion by way of Becky Liddell.
A huge mark by Altenburg carry. She's trying to stop those Hawks, but finds Emma Bell under.
Back to Rockland, pushing with Nat Bell in the center field.
Rockland looking for options. It's a relatively flat mark, but nonetheless.
Oh, great inside little break there, but comes off the hands of Kewen. It was into great space.
Want them to throw Kewen nicer throws. Looking for Adams deep.
And it's Kewen going to eat it up. But the disc is going to turn again.
Turnovers happening right now.
Becky Liddell with the disc, marked by Botha.
Inside, finding Adams under with enough separation from Kewen. Adams looking at options. She's engaged her reset, finds the around to Altenburg carry.
Gets a bite out of Brooklyn, a second.
Finds Noor Osman. It looks like there's a pick on the field. There was a lot of separation that she had there from her defender, Nat Bell. And yeah, looks like the reasoning may have been that there was a pick. Nat Bell, you're showing great spirit of the game. They're saying that she would have gotten the disc anyway. She didn't think that she would have had to play on defense. So in this case, it looks like the disc is going to stay with Noor Osman, but just closing that gap a little bit more, saying that she would have been closer to the disc, you know. So I think really great spirit acknowledging that it would have happened. Oh, I love that catch. Adams showing such agility and awareness, physical awareness, towing that disc in bounds, going for the give and go, and it's too wide for her.
I want to know what gym is sponsoring Olivia Altenburg carry. Maybe they need to restrict her access. She's a little too strong on some of those throws. We're seeing a timeout called by Fresh Hops from Nelson.
Yeah, Nat Bell understanding there have been a lot of turnovers this point. You know, Blair, you have talked about previously the lag that it takes from switching to offense and defense. And, you know, it does take a mental toll. You're spending energy when you're switching back and forth. And here, you know, you can get tired not just running, but also just staying dialed in. You know, here we're seeing these athletic plays, both as she runs deep, those big puts, but also mentally just switching back and forth. And especially when turnovers are happening, boom, 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 back to back, as we've seen in this point, it can be good to take a break, give yourself that mental rest and focus in on what you can control, what you do want to do, and just set that plan, set those objectives, boom, 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 straight forward in a line so you can follow them, as opposed to trying to adapt to turnover, what's happening, where am I, where's my defender. So I imagine that they're just focusing in right now. We've got Nelson Fresh Hops in their defensive half, so, you know, it's not it's not a 1 point must score the point, one throw, one catch. I think probably just focusing in on how they're going to run their offense, clean offense, who's feeling dialed in, who wants to make the first cut, who wants to make the second, potentially setting a string, and then also just discussing if they do turn it, what can they do on defense to help keep that pressure on. I think mainly, though, offense is key for both teams to prevent those quick turnovers that we're seeing. A little bit of maybe mental fatigue when people aren't dialed into the execution, what they're doing, who they're throwing to, what strategy they're following. I would expect, I would hope that WOOF is similarly checking into that because we've seen some quick turnovers from them as well.
Absolutely. So we're going to be back after the conclusion of this very, very short timeout break with some more coverage. It's going to be very, very excited. Stay tuned, folks. Stay dialed in. A cheeky nod from Michael Chen, marking the console.
Thank you to Michael Chen. Thank you to everyone here from WOMENS.
Why does he look like a cop?
Thank you again, Michael Chen, one of many people from here from ULTI.TV supporting streaming of this tournament and streaming of Ultimate Frisbee. If you want to support, if you like what you're seeing, you like what we're doing, and you want to help support free coverage of Ultimate for people to watch, head over to their patreon.com and chuck some spare change their way. Chuck $20 their way. Whatever you're feeling, however generous you're feeling, if you want to continue to support this great coverage and the work that this team is doing. Thank you.
Yeah, in fact, actually, that'd be quite an interesting thing. Head on over to patreon.com/ULTI.TV right now, and if you think WOOF's going to win, you should donate $10. And if you think Fresh Hop's going to win, you should donate $10. If you think it's going to be a tie, you should donate $50.
We also see, we've seen some skateboarders, we've seen some ice cream. There's a lot happening here at Bob Dean Fields and Hagley Park this weekend. So fun to have real fruit ice cream, New Zealand's classic, on demand here, available. Also, all the different forms of transportation around Hagley Fields. Such a privilege to be playing, and I think it's the second biggest public park in the world. Massive in Western Christchurch in the Central Business District.
That is one heck of a fact, Kelsey. I have been known historically throughout my career, not just as a commentator, but as a member of the proletariat for my fun facts. Another fun fact that we've got right now is after a timeout, the offensive team gets to set their structure first, and then the defensive team gets to set up in response to that. And what we saw just then was a violation. So players moved before the disc was made live. The disc is live now. We see Bell trying to work with Rockland for an initiation. She's being absolutely ground down by Amato on defense, which is just fantastic to see. So she has to put up the huck, and it's going to get shanked. Eaten up by Becky Liddell. And a stall was called out. A stall out was called. So, as we mentioned previously, a stall out, it's kind of like a shot clock in basketball. You've got about 10 seconds as counted by the opposing marker.
I love Nat Bell's reaction there. She's been gold with reactions this whole game, and from the sideline, I've really been appreciating that spirit and that character she's bringing. Sorry though, Blair. Back to what's happening on the field.
So it looks like that turnover is going to stand. It's going to be an accepted stall, and so what that means is it's going to be WOOF with possession. So they have an opportunity to widen up the game here. We have Becky Liddell now. A laser show straight through for the score.
Show. Woof, woof, woof. We're at the party. Jumping up and down to celebrate that, or is she jumping up and down in the lights? The laser that she caught in her own two hands. Beautiful point for Woof.
Some fantastic work there. And again, I think great spirit as well on display by Fresh Hops. I think that like, it's one of those really cool things. When you look at an opportunity where a team actually gets stalled out, it seems like such a rare occurrence. And the reason for that is because it requires the whole team to play coordinated, perfect defense for 10 seconds. Anytime a throw goes away, something has happened. What it means is either the person on the mark has created an opening that is able to be exploited by the thrower, or somewhere downfield, someone has gotten separation from the defender. We saw that Bell wasn't able to get that reset to Rockland because of the super aggressive defense being played by Rockland's opposition, and it sort of forced them out of that space. The stall count came in really, really high, and that throw that sort of bladed over early got eaten up by Becky Liddell was simply a Hail Mary bailout option.
It was, yeah.
And that's exactly what WOOF want. They want to apply defensive pressure for 10 seconds at a time, generate the turn, and calmly close out the point. We're going to see Liddell with the disc for the pull.
Also a great example of shutdown defense. You know, there's different ways to play defense. Obviously, we talk about zones, we talk about match. But when you're playing match, you can be marking your person and closing off all options, or you can be baiting a defensive play. Oh, what separation on that deep look. Back on offense. Bell with the disc. Some hotly contested throws here.
Hicked back to Bell. Slips one past Sim to give the disc back to WOOF. An opportunity to crack through into double digits for the first time in the game. We are at 68.5 minutes, so we have only a few minutes left, really, before we hit our clock cap of 75. We see Zamri put a forehand up that far sideline. Liddell marked by Faria.
With some shoulder fakes, finding leg. Great movement, swinging wide. The disc in the hand of Simmons. Simmons looking for leg strike. Great strike cut. Oh, she's looking deep. I love that look. Bridget leg with the assist. And another point to WOOF. Picking up the disc, of course, to walk it to the white line where they're going to have to pull from instead of leaving it there. What great movement. I love the energy, the power. Bridget leg powering up line there. And then launching that backhand to an open end of the end zone. And again, the one thing I get really stoked on with plays like this in the end zone is so often that we're seeing points scored towards those front two cones or towards the front of the end zone, just hopping across the line. You know, why push it to the back if all you need is to cross the line? But their legs showing beautiful execution with that throw and really utilizing the length of the end zone. I get so stoked when points are scored in the back of the end zone because, again, it's just such a difficult space to defend.
Yeah, especially when you've got a receiver like Cooper Smith pushing through and just eating those ones up.
Well, they say, who let the dogs out? And we're hearing the cheer from Dunedin. They say, woof, woof, woof. They're definitely let out. You know, it was a hotly contested first half, and, you know, we had WOOF pulling away, and then in the second half, they're really now kind of coming into their own, bringing the score back with fresh hops. You know, definitely making some, you know, some movement in that space with a comeback.
Rockland to tuck early to initiate, working with both to Sim. Far sideline now, coming back, finds Brittany Rockland. Tuck again, marked by Amato.
Incredible deep looks here. Great movement from Fresh Hops. You know, they have had a bit of a stagnant stack in the past, but I'm loving how much movement we're seeing. Especially Sonia Sim, she's consistently giving them deep options point after point. And, you know, sometimes, you know, they haven't been taken, but it's so great to see options at every end of the field. The high disc results in a turnover, giving Fresh Hops another chance on offense. Botha is starting the stack. She's got her hand up. I think that's why we're seeing her hand up there. And immediately looking for the deeper option. What separation she has, though.
Hecht really stretching the field with Altenberg carry, but the disc goes back to Rockland instead. We've got McKinnon on a great undercut. High angle shot, double coverage. Oh, great ups by Ursula to get a touch.
Yeah.
Botha can't secure it on the second attempt, so it's going to give the disc back.
I love the give and go right off the bat. It's exciting to see that brought initially. And a transition zone that Fresh Hops is throwing right now. A lot of hands up all over the field.
That's going to be Becky Liddell,
Looks like a
Ursum, and Altenberg carry to initiate the offense. Really driving things at the moment for WOOF.
a junk of sorts. So that's match on the handlers and a diamond formation downfield. Gooden with a catch on the wing, centering back midfield to Ursula.
Finds Altenberg carry. Ursula wide open again. We're close to the end zone. She wants to put one out. decides to just chip one through to an unmarked Altenburg carry. It kind of looks like Fresh Hops gave up on defense a little bit towards that second half of that point.
It was quite stagnant. It really allowed them to find those open spots and punish them.
Yeah, it's one of those things where when it just keeps moving, the players don't. You feel, I mean, certainly as a commentator, but also as a player on the field, you feel like you've missed something. And it's one of those things where sometimes, yeah, it can be great if the tempo of the game all of a sudden slams on the brake, swings in the other direction, and all of a sudden bing, bing for a score. But this kind of felt, I mean, I don't want to say underwhelming, but I think just because Fresh Hops just felt a little bit on the back foot, and so
there's no mark and then no cover. I think, I mean, also again we can talk about the transition. They may have drilled zones, they may have drilled that, but transitioning to match defense, we commented on it earlier. And again, I've played with teams. It's not. It does happen sometimes where the intention is to stay in zone defense in the end zone, and that can work really well if everyone is dialed in at the same time. It can be really fun to do that as well, but it can also be quite dangerous, as you've explained before, Blair. And so maybe that was it as well, just that no one called to switch to that match defense. Maybe that was it.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's one of the things is it's been said often in the Ultimate community, as long as everyone is on the same page, you're not capable of making a mistake. Things like errors can slip into execution, but in terms of if everyone is on the same page and everyone's like, we're playing a zone defense, then for one player to think, here's where I'm going to commit myself to cover this, players elsewhere on the field can recognize that and respond accordingly.
Exactly, yeah.
But I guess maybe there wasn't that communication. No one was there to actually drive the decision-making, so it felt a little bit flat. So it's good to see that they're back into it. They're moving the disc again. They've got that little bit of fire underneath them. We've got Tuck, we've got Bell, and Bell in the upfield space. We've got a great cut by Robertson, trying to push and test Chandran towards that far sideline. A big shot going up, looking for Kewen.
Gosh. How beautiful.
Oh, why would you not?
Yes, Tuck recognizing that. I love that power behind that throw.
Oh, LB's unmarked deep in the end zone. Oh, I guess I'll send that one. I mean, and it's one of those things too where even though the defense is there, they're in a position where they're further upfield. So with a shot like that, you can just throw it out to behind your intended receiver and trust them to run onto it and close that one out. So that was just great vision there to see Laura Beth Kewen in the end zone ready for an option. We might get to see that one again.
Yeah, Tuck's her calmness with the disc because she's assessing options and then launches it. So it goes high. She just places it right where it needs to be. And such a great catch as well from Kewen there.
Absolutely. I mean, and really that's what a lot of Ultimate is about, is recognizing the defense can't take away everything. So how do we capitalize on what they are giving us? And in this case, what they were taking away was those undercuts. They were really concerned about threats to the front cones, which, as we've talked about quite a lot, Kelsey, that's one of the important things. Those 4 cones are where we typically see most of the attacking happening in an end zone. So if you recognize those as threats, what it does do is it does open up the backfield space. I think in our previous game, when we saw Cog against Trail Mix, you noted the exact same thing. It's really, really difficult to kind of defend the back middle of the end zone as sort of a downfielder, as a cutter, probably because it's typically a hard throw to actually put into space comfortably for someone.
Definitely. I think also just brief commentary before we move on is the challenge in defending a throw like that when it's going to the break side over the top of you. When you're on the open side, you're doing as much as you can as a defender, and so great placement with the throw. We've got that same zone. It looks like a junk, so again, mostly match on the handlers and then a diamond formation downfield, 3 across the middle and then 1 deep. And right now, WOOF finding the open options. I love their flexibility, the creativity again with throws. We see leg throwing the hammer, some quick movement, finding the open players. What a great point.
That is going to be a score by Amato by way of Abby Liddell. Great work to bring WOOF within 1 of the end of the game. We are looking at a game to 13. So
I feel emotionally disrespected by that point, actually. I was still focused on that beautiful huck by Tuck in the end zone, and then all of a sudden they've scored. I didn't have enough time to dial in into what they were doing. It was so clean and fast. They were finding those open options, and I just feel like I need a chance to catch up with it.
Now, for my personal enjoyment, one of my favorite things about that in point, yes, I mean, great to see another upside down throw, but one of the early receptions in their defensive half when Abby Liddell actually got the disc and hit an in-motion forehand, like mid-run. It's a really, really hard thing to do mechanically because it isn't just a snap backwards of the wrist. You can throw a backhand in front of you, ostensibly. You can hold it two hands like a steering wheel and kind of push the disc forward almost. Doing the same thing with the forehand is a little bit harder because it kind of forces the disc out towards the side of your body. So trying to align that with the rest of your bodily momentum moving in one direction is a hard thing to do. So I just want to, make sure that she gets a little bit of shine on that because that's a great executional maneuver to continue moving the disc when you're looking at those rapid give-go things. So well done, Abby.
Shine up that maneuver, Blair. I agree. Great execution. Really, really impressive play. We have the score right now, just to shine up this a little bit as well, is 12-7. So that was 12 points, one more on the board for WOOF. I just want to bring attention to this, that if WOOF scores this point, they're going to have to either play defense. They're on offense. They just made the play they needed to now, but this could be the last possession. If they score this, it's game for them. We have
Elton carry, and she's pointing, and I think that's always very, very worrying for me. Just recognizing she's got the depth of the throws. We see Ursula now with the disc, marked by Tuck, pushes one through, eaten up by Adams.
Oh, look! See her deep! Oh, I just wanted them to throw that.
Roxburgh with the disc now, pressured on the near sideline. The stall count's getting a little bit high. It's Eltenberg carry, closing out. What a great finish to that game. Nothing explosive, not the long throws that we've seen throughout the game or the sort of explosive hammers that we've seen, but with just calm, precise, clinical ultimate. That is going to take WOOF through this match with an impressive win.
And a great catch by Simmons in the end zone. I was struggling to contain the excitement I was feeling about Cooper Smith streaking deep there. She was open for a few potential throws, and you know, it's a safe decision. It worked out well that they looked her off. I was just so excited to see her as a receiver in that open space. But great slash across from Simmons, and great game to WOOF. Congratulations.
Just an absolutely fantastic performance by both of these teams. But the winner for this one is going to be WOOF. We have one more game in our stream coverage for you today at the first day of the Division 2 2024 New Zealand Ultimate Championships in Ōtautahi, Christchurch, here in Hagley Park at Bob Dean's Field. Until then, my name is Blair Munro.
I am Kelsey Bielik.
And courtesy of ULTI.TV, it is a privilege for us to be your eyes and ears on your ground to provide context and commentary for some of the best sport in all the world. Please stay tuned for the next one.
Kia ora.
ULTI.TV.